We're ready to go. Are we ready? All right. Well, we want to get going. Ms. Yench, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Father, we thank you for this time to serve our community, and we thank you for every single person who's come out tonight who has an interest in our schools and what's taking place, whether parents or teachers, principals, or the school board, Father, whoever it is. And we ask that wisdom would be granted to us as we make decisions so that we don't make them based on emotion or that we use your wisdom and we know exactly what the best plan is and for the schools, for our teachers, for our students, and even for our parents, Lord. So please lead and guide this meeting. Let your peace reign over us and give us wisdom in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mr. Hansard, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Poor Scott couldn't see the flag.
What?
You couldn't see the flag.
I was blocking you. We had nobody sign up for public comment here, so I guess we will move to, because we've changed the hour a little bit, we're letting the principal report go first so that they don't have to stick around to the end unless they really want to. So, which one of the principals would like to go first?
Ladies first.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's do the principal's report, and then we'll do I totally messed up here. So, let's do the recognitions first. I'm sorry. I dove right in here. So first off, I would like to say we have a change of student ambassadors. So Riley Clark is our student ambassador for the evening. The other two that were supposed to be here are on the basketball team. So welcome, Riley. And we do have recognition. So Mr. Costello, is he here to recognize the golf team? Then we'll get to the principals.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say thank you guys for inviting us. I'd like to say thank you guys for inviting us to be here this evening. We appreciate it. I also want to give special appreciation to my boy Robert Gilly over here. He's been actually donating his school board pay to the golf team several times over the past few years, so we do appreciate that. But anyways, we do appreciate that you guys would like to recognize the golf team. We had a great year. I want to start with the girls team. They did something this year that we haven't done in quite some time, and that is the girls won the district tournament. And it wasn't at home, it was at Lawrenceburg Country Club, so it was a great accomplishment for them. They went on, of course, to compete in the regional tournament. Didn't quite make it past that point to the state, but our two girls, we had two girls on the team. One, our senior, Leah Kate Sullivan. And then a freshman, Carson Riddle.
I'm glad Charlie's picking up the slack.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie.
All right, just the students. We're not going to have you're not going to be their coach.
Oh, I can't. Yeah.
Everybody smile.
And our boys team had a pretty phenomenal season. We, as a golf team, a lot of times we play in tournaments, and there's quite a few teams that are in these tournaments. So you don't just play like 14 matches and therefore have like a record of, just 14 games. Basically, these tournaments, there could be up to 6-8 teams there. So the boys team accumulated a record of 67-13. which is pretty great. They did also win the district at Lawrenceburg. They placed second in the regional tournament at Cookeville, the Golden Eagle, and lost only by 4 strokes to Cookeville's team. If we'd have beat them, we would have went as a team to the state tournament. So a great season for our guys. So I'll go ahead and bring them up. We had one freshman that was in the rotation. His name, Levi Rossman. All right, we had 2 sophomores, Jackson Phillips. And Carter Bell. We had 3 juniors, one of which can't be here this evening, and I'll talk a little bit more about him in just a second. One of our juniors is Landon Collins. Our second junior that was on team is Noah Costello, is actually my son, and he placed 4th at the district tournament, shot 72, and he tied for 2nd at the regional tournament, shot a 71, qualified to go to the state tournament. Didn't play his best at the state tournament, but it was a great experience for him. So anyways, Noah Costello. And then our number 1 player this year, in all seriousness, if I could go back and look at the records, he may have said a lot of them. His name is Jack Stowe. He can't be here this evening because he was playing in a huge tournament in Louisiana, and his last round was yesterday. He's actually on his way home right now. Was hoping to make it back in time, but wasn't. The tournament he played in this weekend was called the Nota Begay. It's a national tournament, huge deal. But just to kind of put some perspective, his 9-hole average, if you know anything about golf, par is 36. For this season, his 9-hole average was 35.5, and his 18-hole average was 71.43, which is phenomenal golf. He placed 1st at district tournament with 68. He tied for 2nd with Noah at regional tournament with 71, also qualifying for the state tournament. And then he tied for 10th at the state tournament, shooting 72, 76. So a phenomenal year for Jack, and I know that he and his family would love to be here. They appreciate the fact that y'all are recognizing them tonight. He just couldn't make it back in time. So thank you guys so much for recognizing our kids.
I've got them all done. You get in there.
Yeah, open them.
Got it.
Thank you.
All
guys.
right, congratulations.
Give them a standing ovation. All of them.
All right. We have Tennessee for Quality Early Educator of the Year, Michelle Mulligan. Is she here tonight?
She's in the back.
Okay.
Michelle, where are you?
Oh.
All right. Come on up here, please, ma'am. This is Michelle Mulligan. Michelle won one of 20, I believe, in the state of what they call the Tennessee for Quality Early Education of the Year. And she was one of 20 recipients of this. She received a $1,000 check that she can personally keep, and also has an expense trip paid to Niceville where she will receive another $1,000 to buy supplies and things for her classroom. So congratulations, Michelle, and thank you.
Thanks for all you do, Michelle. I know it's a lot.
Okay, congratulations, Michelle. Now we can call to order our regular meeting here. This is the November 11th, 2024 meeting of the Coffee County School Board. We do have a quorum present, and for the record, Mr. Chris Kuhn got elected, but he has not been certified yet, but we asked him to join us up here as I call it a free trial membership, so but he can't vote or anything until he's certified, but congratulations to Mr. Kuhn. We still don't have any public comments, so let's go into the principal's report now. So you're going to get your exercise walking back and forth.
We've had quite a bit going on at Deerfield for the past month. Our 5th grade went to the Carter House on a field trip. We've had our first quarter citizenship reward celebration. We celebrate the students who have like a 90 or above citizenship grade for the quarter. Academic pep rally for the first quarter. We not only do we celebrate academics, we also celebrate citizenship there. And for those students, they have to have a 98 or above to be recognized at that. We had a trunk or treat, and at the trunk or treat, we had the Imagination Station Library set up. We had Books to Birth set up, and the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department came out and set up and handed all the kids fire hats. And we also had the rescue squad come out and set up, and they did this last year as well. They set up like a haunted house, so to speak. The kids love that. Our third grade went to Old Stone Fort. We had our Halloween parties. We had School-wide Art Day, which the kids all love that. We like to try to incorporate art and music into the school days. We also had our Veterans Day program today. We had Command Sergeant Major Thomas Tissa come and speak to our students. So that was very enjoyable, and we appreciated all the veterans that came out and were recognized during our program. We also, first grade went to Cumberland Caverns. We did a lot. Friday, the 2nd grade is going to go to the aquarium in Chattanooga. We are having our Thanksgiving lunch for our 1st and 3rd grade parents this coming Friday. So we kind of rotate everybody. We can't get everybody at once. So 1st and 3rd is Thanksgiving. And from what I hear, we have 83 parents signed up to come and have lunch with their 1st or 3rd grader. Also, we have been having our early recall.
All right, thank you.
We had a veterans program today. Some came out and participated in that. Watched that. It was a great program. The students did a great job. So very thankful for that. Had a good turnout of veterans also showed up for that program. Tomorrow night we play Westwood our basketball for our basketball games. So we'll host that this time. Westwood hosted the last time. So it's our turn to host that. It is at the high school. Okay, so today we start at 4 and our varsity starts at 6. So come out and watch the game. It'll be real good. Book fair is going on this week, so that had to be on Saturday for the parents to come in and bring their child, and so that'll carry through the end of this week. Next Tuesday, I believe, is our wrestling team's last home match, and also our 8th grade night. So come out and support them if you can. And then December the 12th is our band and choir concerts. I know some of y'all kind of make those are big events, so we'll be together too. So it'll be a good band. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
all school program.
Good evening. As always, we've got lots of things going on at the high school. Today we had a Veterans Day program. That was at 11 a.m. We had some guests from the community come in. We had local veterans come in. Some parents of those students that performed. We had our band perform at the program as well as our choir. was particularly impressed with the behavior of our student body. I felt like they really showed respect to the veterans in our community. We have about 10 of those that work in our building, but there were lots of other veterans from the community that were there as well, so really appreciated the behavior of our students. Not necessarily surprised, but it was really top-notch, the way they behaved. Also, want to make you all aware that there was a deadline on November 1st for the Tennessee Promise application to be completed. You all probably realize that the Tennessee Promise is a program that allows students, graduates, to receive 2 free years of community college or 2 free years of technical school. And I'm happy to report that 100% of our Coffee County Central High School seniors completed that application.
Wow,
So,
very impressive.
Dr. Donna Jones, one of our school counselors, took the lead in that, and she's done that for several years now. Each of our school counselors have a name range of students that they're responsible for, but our counselors also have various duties that they handle throughout the year. And Dr. Jones, again, took the lead on the Tennessee Promise. She also takes the lead on the FAFSA. And so I think she's probably to thank most for that. But again, some other people took part, but she was the lead. Finally, I want to mention that we have our fall play. It's begun, and that started last Friday night at 7 p.m. It's Night of the Living Dead, and it occurred on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it'll show again this coming Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Have lots of students participating in that, whether they're running sound or light, maybe working on set. And we have about, I believe, 15 or 16 students that are actually performing in the play. So if you get a chance, go out and see that. There are lots of other things going on at the high school, but I will leave those for our student ambassador to share later this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Parsley. It's in there somehow. All right, we now move into the regular agenda portion of the meeting, and our first
Oh, do you want to let the student ambassador go next? Do you want to talk about that?
usually let them go at the end because they got to be here.
I thought, okay.
So the first item is general consent items. So these are items that are passed, including the minutes. And we got some field trips overnight out of state that unless there's any objections, we will need a motion to pass the general consent items.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. And start with Ms. Jones then.
Aye.
Are these on? Are these on? Are our mics on? Okay.
Aye.
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 And I vote aye. So that has passed. One change to the agenda is we are going to strike item number 12. That is the CTE EPP program. We don't have enough information right now, so we're going to take that up at our November 21st work session, and then it'll be back on the agenda for the December meeting. So strike that from your agenda.
Mr. Chair, whenever you voted, you already approved the agenda as it was with the consent items. So to remove those, you would almost have to do another vote to remove them. Or you could just get to them, and when you get to them,
Well, then
just let them die, just not bring them up.
Yeah, we can just go to that item then, and then we'll just vote to postpone it to December then.
Absolutely, you could do that with no problem,
Yeah.
but you've already approved the
Yeah.
agenda as
Okay,
is, and
thank you for
Just wanna
that. Yeah, that was approving the whole agenda too, so thank you. So, yeah, why don't we just do that then? So and that'll be pretty quick then. I should have done that before that. All right, first agenda item is the interim director's contract, and that, everybody should have that available. As a reminder, last month, the board approved the chairman and Dr. Powell to negotiate this contract, or the chairman and the board attorney to negotiate this contract with Dr. Powell. And we did come up with this contract. He's been operating under this contract, but we are officially approving it in this meeting. So I need a motion to approve the interim director contract between Coffee County Schools Board of Education and Dr. Prater Powell.
Mr. Chair, I move
Mr. Gilly, motion.
I move to accept the contract that has been supplied in the board documents for
Okay.
today's meeting as noted.
Okay, and second.
Second that motion.
Mr. Cordell, second, okay. So the motion is to approve the contract of employment between Coffee County School Board and Coffee County Schools Board of Education and Dr. Prater Powell as supplied in the documentation that has been provided to the board. And is there any discussion on this contract?
I'd just like to ask Dr. Powell, do you have the phone already?
I'm sorry?
Do you have the phone already in
Yes,
your, you already have that?
I have one, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And under the professional activity, I guess it's under memberships and special project funds. I think we paid Rotary membership for the previous director. So that would roll over to the new director, is that correct?
I believe so. It's not in the contract per se. Which section in the contract is it?
It's memberships and special
Oh,
project
under
funds.
7? Okay.
But there's other professional memberships that should roll over to the director, and that may automatically be done anyway.
We can do that. We can make an amendment to do that, to modify the contract.
Yes, I would like, how would I do that? Make an amendment? I would like to make an amendment to the contract of employment for Dr. Prater Powell to add under item number 7, memberships and special project funds, that all professional memberships would be allocated over to Dr. Powell.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second and agree to the amendment.
Okay. So, all right, so the amendment is to amend the contract to have all existing memberships roll over to the interim director under this contract. Is there any further discussion on that? So we need to take care of the amendment first, I think.
What exactly are those, Ms. Jones? Do you know what?
Possibly Rotary. In other words, there's other memberships that a director has other than TOS. Isn't that correct, Dr. Powell?
That's correct,
I think
yes.
there's
And
chamber
so
of commerce also.
different things that various professional organizations, and this contract did not address everything, and that would cover it all. That what the previous director had, Dr. Powell would take that up.
Yes, ma'am. Just to let people at home know that, what those are that's watching, so they can kind of know what those memberships were, what they were to.
Yeah, it's really designed to represent the school system to the community.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
any other discussion on that? Then I think we need to dispose of the amendment first. So, Ms. Hodge?
Aye.
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 And I vote aye, and aye. All right, so then I think we need to go back and approve the contract as a whole. I think that was the original motion, so any discussion on that? Then, Ms. Matthews?
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye, so that passes unanimously, 8-0, in both cases. All right. Next up is the TSBA Director Search Services. And I believe we have a presentation from Tennessee School Board Association. Dr. Tammy Grissom is going to give us a presentation on the search services they provide. We do have the option of doing the search ourselves or to contract with somebody like TSBA. They do executive search services. There are other firms out there that do that, but I think realistically, we would either do it ourselves or probably contract with TSBA. They have several levels of search they do, so that's what the presentation is going to be about here.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tammy.
It's phone only.
Yeah, well, I believe everyone was emailed our search packet, correct, Chairman?
That is
Ballard?
correct.
Okay, I'm just going to start with a general overview of our service that we provide. Obviously, our service is only provided to our member board. We are part of a national association of that connects us with other state associations. So we have a group of us called the National Association of School Superintendent Searchers. So we're part of a national group because every state has a school boards association. And so when we are going through applicants, we have a direct contact with someone in every state that we can find out about applicants. As you all know, most people, when they submit their application and their resume, they're going to list someone that's going to say something positive, obviously, about them. So we have ways of finding out information about employees that maybe you all as a local board might not have. Our general consultation is obviously tonight. If you chose to use us as your search consultant, the first thing that we would do would be to develop a timeline. I think it's important to your community to know whatever you all decide to do, whether you as a board or TSBA is going to conduct a search, you need to let the community and staff know as soon as possible what that timeline is going to be. And we typically start with when you want a new director of schools to start work, and then we work backwards with that process, with that end date in mind. And so that would be the first step we would do with you all if you chose us, is to develop the timeline, when we would start with the announcement of the vacancy, what the deadline would be for applicants to submit their credentials. TSBA uses an online portal where candidates submit their credentials through our online portal. Anytime during the search process, and this is no matter if you do the search, TSBA does the search, or ABC company does the search. By law, once candidates submit their application, it's a public record. So if TSBA is doing the search, we'll provide you the applicants. Typically a board will just say, hey, every Friday let us know who the applicants are, and we'll send you the list. Because if the media or anyone calls our office and says who is submitted for the Coffee County search, we have to provide them the names because, as I said, it's a public record. Depending on which search that you all choose, I'm going to kind of jump to that because we have 3 plans. They're on page 6. Plan 1 is $3,000. That's basically you as a board tell us what you want the criteria for your superintendent to be. When I say criteria, I'm talking about, you know, some boards it's more important. They want somebody that has a strong financial background, visionary, good communicator, problem solver. you know, there might be somebody that typically the criteria is about the same for each district, but depending on your needs and what you all are looking for specifically in your district, but you all would give us that. We develop a brochure and we would send it out to all of our different organizations. We send it to Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents. We also send it to AIMS, that's the Independent Municipal District, Supervisors Association, Association for Superintendent Supervision and Curriculum Development, Principals Association. We send it to colleges and universities. We send it out through our National Affiliation of Superintendent Searches. We'll post it on AASA, that's the American Association of School Administrators. We'll post it on our website. We'll give you a link to post it on your site. So we cast a wide web of when we send out the vacancy. And then we'll review the credentials and provide all the materials to the board. That's plan one. So basically we will get the brochure from you all, publish the brochure and the announcement, collect the applications. Once the deadline's met, we'll send all applications to the board. Plan two is $7,500, and that's where we would provide all the services that I just mentioned in one, but we'd also do an online survey where you could send out to your faculty, staff, community input. We usually provide several characteristics of a superintendent. People can rank those and then ask them 3 questions. What are the good things going on in Coffee County that you'd like to see continued? Number 2, what are the problems or challenges a new superintendent would face? And then what are the personal characteristics you'd like? We would collect all that information, come up with a set of criteria, once again, develop the brochure, provide an interview guide, and then assist the board with the candidates who we think best meet the criteria that you've identified. Plan 3 is we do in-person meetings with different groups, consult with each board member, report the results in in-person meeting, and recommend the criteria to the board. So basically, part 3 is the $15,000. That is basically all in-person meetings to collect information about the superintendency. And that's the only plan. Plan 3 is the only plan that we would recommend the criteria to be adopted by the board. And then each board will let us know if you want 3 finalists, 4 finalists, 5 finalists, and most boards lately have just been wanting 3. We'll review them, bring in a screening committee. Doesn't mean once we present them, doesn't mean you have to interview those 3, but that's kind of why you hired us. We will provide you all applications because they belong to you all, and you all can interview. At the end of the day, it's up to you all. You can interview who you want. But you're basically you're asking us to assist you to do the legwork. It's a lot of phone calls, collecting of materials, answering questions, and I think the key thing that we can provide is we can find out information on each candidate that you may not have contacts for. So I think that's the plus with our association doing the search. So I'm going to stop there, Chairman Ballard, and see if anyone has questions. I know you have the packet in front of you, so I just don't want to read to you all because I'm sure you've read it already.
So you have an online portal that collects the resumes, so people submit directly to the online portal?
Correct.
Other questions for?
To Ms. Grissom, this is a guaranteed, if there is a vacancy in the next 2 years, if you don't mind touching on that for our people that's not here. Very good question. If a vacancy occurs during the 2-year period following your employment of the candidate recommended,
we will, as your search consultant, advertise, recruit, and screen for additional candidates at no charge.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Kind of like insurance.
This lady put on a very good presentation. Me and Mr. Ballard went to her presentation this past weekend at the TSBA in Nashville, and me and Mr. Ballard ourselves went to this presentation that she put on, and there was several, if I may, Ms. Grissom, you know, there was, how many schools would you say was there that day? There's a lot of schools in this state that are going through the same thing that we're going through.
Yeah, right now, we just finished the recommending finalists for Milan Special. That's a West Tennessee district. And they'll be interviewing, I believe, this week or next week.
Yes, ma'am. That's what he said in front of us.
And then there's some searches doing their own, some districts doing their own.
So what is the best timing for looking for a director? Would we be better off waiting and really looking towards the end of the school year, or is it better to dive in now? So is there any difference in the timings?
I think the best thing, and I said it earlier in the meeting, dive in. Number one, if you keep putting it off, you create an environment of unrest with your staff. You know, everybody's wondering who their new boss is going to be. And I think the board, you know, you need to find one, so I think you need to move on with it. If somebody really wants to be a superintendent, they'll work with your schedule, and you all know you may have to be a little flexible when you find the right candidate. They may say, hey, I really want to wrap up over here in my current job. Can I come at this time? I think you deal with that when time comes. But if somebody really wants to be your superintendent, the timing it doesn't matter if it's end of the school year, middle of school year. The point is, you all need a new superintendent of schools, and I think you need to move on with it, whether you use us or you do it on your own.
So what would be the time frame if we voted tonight to engage your services? What would be the time frame? We'd have to execute a contract. It would probably have to be approved at the December board meeting. And then when do you get going after that?
As soon as you tell us to go and which plan you want to use, we're pretty immediate. As soon as you give us the green light, we'll start the process. You know, nowadays, used to when you had to mail things in regular mail, like the vacancy brochure, it took a while. Now with a click of a button, we can send out your vacancy announcement, and it'll go across the country in a matter of seconds. So most people, too, that are looking for a job, they know to come to our TSBA website anyway. So we can get your advertising period is up to you all, but it's like I said earlier, you've got to tell me when you want someone to start, and then I'll work the timeline from that date back. So, you know, some boards, we've done a 2-week announcement, we've done 3 weeks, we've done 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You know, in this day and time, I don't think you need to have a long window to advertise. If somebody's looking to be your superintendent, the word gets out. You know, the word's already out that Coffee County will be looking for a superintendent. So it's not like this is going to be, you know, new news.
Has Coffee County ever used TSBA for a director search in the past that you know of?
Yes, I don't know what years, because I've been doing this for 35 years, and I don't have that in front of me when the last time Coffee County. I know it seems like the last few y'all done on your own, I'm pretty sure. I know it's been the last one, maybe the last 2 you've done on your own. But I'm pretty sure we have years ago have done it, but I'd have to go back and look. You do bring up a good point. If you'll look in the back of that packet, page 11 and 12, we've listed some of our recent searches and the county and the chairman and their phone number. And then that way, you know, you all need to call other districts and say, hey, did you like TSBA service? And just ask other boards how well we did.
Other questions for Dr. Grissom?
Dr. Grissom, can you explain a little more when you meet with the community, which is something that I'm interested in? How are those meetings?
Can I get you to speak up just a little bit?
When you meet with the community, which is something I'm interested in, how do you go about those meetings? What exactly takes place in those meetings?
If you all choose to do in-person meetings, if you'll look in the packet on page 10, there's a sample community meeting schedule, and this is typically what we would recommend. A noon meeting with mayor, county commission, school leader, school board. You can see there next classified, next central office, 4 o'clock teachers, and then a 6 o'clock would be a community forum. All the meetings would be 1 hour each. Each of the meetings would be run the same, and the same questions would be asked at each meeting. The first question would be, what are the good things going on in Coffee County that you'd like to see continued? Question number 2, what are the problems or challenges a new director of school will face coming into Coffee County? And number 3, what personal characteristics would you like to see in a new superintendent? Those 3 questions plus a form, we have different characteristics of a superintendent. We ask people to rank those. That is what we'll do at each of those meetings. They will all be the same, and they'll all be 1 hour only.
Thank you.
Once we collect all those comments, we'll develop a report, and we call it the interim report, and we'll provide to the board exactly what everyone said in those meetings. We don't write down people's names, but we'll say at the noon meeting, here are the comments they made for each of the 3 questions. The 1 o'clock meeting, here's what they said. Someone, either myself or someone else from my office, will facilitate those meetings. The board does not need to attend those meetings. Typically, we say, if you want to come to the noon meeting with the mayor and city council, yes. But the rest of the meetings, it is not necessary or recommended that the board attend those. People tend to talk better when you're not there, and TSBA is there to represent the board.
Other questions?
Ms. Grissom, if we go with, say, plan 1 or 2, and we go through the process, can we, say we take plan 1 first, and then we want to proceed and go do the plan 2 later, is that possible to do that?
Well, if you do plan 1, we're going to do a brochure and send out the announcement. So you really don't want to, right in the middle of, after you've already sent the announcement out, decide you're going to do an online survey.
Right.
Because in part 2, the purpose of the online survey, and in plan 3, the purpose of the in-person meeting, is to get community and staff and faculty input on what they would like to see in a new superintendent. And that's what you use to develop the criteria for the new superintendent, which is what you put in the brochure.
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to decide up front. You know, you wouldn't go advertise and then decide to do community meetings.
Okay.
Or an online survey.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I guess, can we, put constraints on if you wanted, and I know we talked about this last week, but that if you wanted just somebody from the Southeast, for instance, or Tennessee, can you put constraints like that on there?
The board can do whatever you want. You could say, I wouldn't recommend it. You could say, we only want to take candidates from Tennessee. You could say we only want to take candidates from Southeast. This process is strictly the board. So you would just have to tell me what you wanted. But I would recommend, your job is to find the best candidate. And I don't know that I'd put those type of restraints, but once again, it's up to your board. It's a local board decision.
Can you describe the online survey a little better under that $7,500 plan? Who do you send that survey to, and who provides you the contact list?
We'll provide you all the link to the survey, and y'all can send the link to whomever you like. You can send it out to all faculty and staff, your newspaper, put it on your website. It's for anybody that wants to complete it. It'll be an online link. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Dr. Grissom, thank you very much for the presentation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, good luck. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to call.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I guess what the action we need to take is to decide if we want to do it ourselves or contract with TSBA. And if we contract with TSBA, what level of, what plan, 1, 2, or 3, we want to go with. Just as a reminder, for the folks out there, Plan 1 is $3,000, Plan 2 is $7,500, and Plan 3 is $15,000, where they do everything for you. So, so we would need a motion to, whether we wanted to do it ourselves or contract with TSBA, and at what level. So
I'd like to make a motion that we discuss this at our work session, because I think this is something that we all need to discuss a little bit more.
Sure.
And we've got a work session coming up, don't we?
Yes, 21st.
21st.
What do y'all think? I mean, I don't feel comfortable making a decision like this tonight.
We haven't even tried the first step of finding someone. It seems like a big jump to hire someone when we haven't even talked about doing it ourselves yet. So yes, I would like to talk about that a lot more.
Do I need to make a motion that we put this on the agenda for the board work session?
Yeah, we'd have to postpone.
Or how would we do that?
Well, we could just, simply not have a motion, and it would die, and then we could discuss in the work session. Now, keep in mind is we'd have to vote on it then in December, and we'd have to have a contract issued in January, so we probably couldn't start till after January. So if everybody's fine with that, then we can just let it die here.
I don't think you'd get to a contract by January, but as far as what we're doing right now, I think you're on the right path of the motion, to kill the motion right now, and then we talk about it and figure out what we're gonna do.
Well, I mean, a contract with TSBA, if we decided to hire them, would be
Yes.
January, so.
Could we not call a special session or something if we wanted to do that?
We could. I mean, you get into
if we-
holidays, so you're
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
I'm just saying, if we needed to and wanted to, we could call a special session and make a decision then after we talk about it. Because it's just 2 weeks away, I guess. I don't, guys, the 21st.
21st is next week.
Yeah, so.
Because whether we do a survey or they do a survey, I think the holiday season would be a good time for people to do a lot of thinking and commenting too.
We have a lot of really amazing people in Coffee County Schools, and there might be a ton that qualify and want to put in an application. So we owe it to them, I feel like, to listen to them first. And we've already spent quite a bit of money, and if we don't have to spend any more, I'd rather not.
Okay. No motion then? Then it dies for lack of motion. And we are on to agenda item 3, which is extend the Tissa outcome funding for East Coffee and Hickerson. Dr. Powell, do you want to talk about that, or Ms. Melson?
I think the
Or
only thing we
Mr.
have,
Shores.
Chairman Ballard, is the fact that we still have Hickerson and East Coffee are wanting to hold up on their funds, and part of it was due to the fact that the things they had planned could be involved with the construction if we go forward with that. So I would like to recommend that we go ahead and let Hickerson and East Coffee retain their funds until further notice.
Further notice?
Pardon?
For further notice?
Yes.
Okay, and we will need a budget amendment for that?
No,
Back to
so
Ms. April.
we've already done a budget amendment for that last school year. So they had to spend the funds by the end of this school year, or they had to come back to central office. So all that needs to be done is just to extend those funds to whatever date you guys want to, and they can keep them in their books.
Would we have to do this annually, keep rolling it over?
Depends on how you make the motion. If you want to do another year, or if you want to make 2 years, it just depends on how you guys want to extend it. But if you do a motion for the end of next school year, you'll have to bring it back up and do another motion.
Yeah, and realistically, the renovations aren't going to be done in 2 years anyway, so.
You would know if they were going to or not
Yeah,
by then.
all right. Do we have a motion then to extend the funds for 1 year, 2 years?
I'd recommend we extend it one more year at this time, yes, sir.
Okay,
That would make it about June the 30th of 2026.
Yes.
okay. We need a motion for that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. So. All right. So the motion is to extend the outcome-based funding funds for Hickerson and East Coffee until June of 2026. All right, any discussion? All right, we take a vote, then Mr. Gilly.
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye, passes 8-0. Okay, the LEA compliance report. Dr. Powell.
I'm going to yield to Mr. Shores, please.
Okay, each year we have to do the compliance report. This is a requirement that we have to go through. Legislators have changed the legislation, and the supervisors, Dr. Powell and myself, sat in here and went through each one of them to make sure that we are in compliance. From that meeting, we decided that we are, and this is just signing off that we have, and then we have to turn it in to the state. So it has been completed, and that's what we're bringing it to the board for, is approval.
And I'd recommend it be approved.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the 2024 Local Education Agency Compliance Report for submittal to the State Department of Education.
So move.
I'll second it.
All right. Is there any discussion on this?
Can we have a little bit of a definition of what this is for people that may not know what this is?
Yes, each year we have to go through, and I mean, it's exactly what it's called, is compliance. Are we compliance to the laws that's been passed by the legislators? And so we went through, and we are compliance, and we're following the laws that were set by the state.
At this last legislative session. So it's upgraded each year depending on what laws are passed through the legislation.
That includes like teacher-pupil ratio and all that sort of thing.
As Dr. Powell said, from this year, the new laws
Just
have
the
come
new laws.
online, and we do this each year. which means that we have gone through previous years and the previous years. So it's saying that we are still compliant with those laws.
Mr. Hansard wasn't here last year, so he doesn't know that we've done that last year or any year before and all that, and just had questions, I'm sure, about
Right,
exactly
right,
what was involved.
and to people at home that there's more and more people watching this online, and I get questions about what this were, and it just to let people know at home that are watching this, so
Do you have any other questions on it then?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gilly, I appreciate that.
All right, any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote. Mr. Cordell?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, that passes 8-0. So, the next item on the agenda is, there was a request to look at having an independent auditor for school finance. And, as I understand it, there's a few options. We could do a full audit, we could do a financial review, or, and Dr. Powell, you can elaborate on how the state auditor does their work and the options available to us there.
Yes, sir, and Ms. Melton, correct me if I mess up on this. State auditors come in sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. They just left about a week ago, and they do not audit the entire budget. They'll take a section like a pie. They take a section of that and audit that. If they have any findings in there, or if there's any questions about another part of the audit, then they will look at that. But they don't necessarily audit the comptroller doesn't audit the entire budget that we have. It's just a cross-section, so to speak.
So if we had a meeting.
Unless we have a special, that we need them to look at something special, they will do that. But normally it's just whatever piece of that pie they pull out of it to audit that particular section.
Okay, so if we had a meeting of the budget committee and we identified a particular area that was of concern to us, the state auditor would come in and basically that doesn't cost us anything to have them come in to look at that particular area? Is that kind of how that would work?
Respond to that.
Yeah, yeah, go to the expert here.
So at any time of any school year, you can call and file a claim with the comptroller's office, and they will include that claim as part of our normal audit, and that will be included in our audit report that claim was followed up on, and it doesn't cost any additional as part of the audit. Does that answer your question? So it wouldn't. You could, at any point in the school year, you could file a claim. If you thought that you wanted misuse of funds in one of the areas of the budget, you could call a comptroller's office, file a claim, and then they would include that as part of their audit.
Or
And
if we
then they
just,
would report back to that
okay.
in their audit report.
Or if we just had some areas we wanted to look at, can we direct the state auditor in that direction?
I mean, sure, that would be the same thing. You could call them and say, hey, can you review this? You would file a claim, basically they would investigate it, and then they would follow up in the audit report.
Okay, so that would be done during the normal audit then?
Yes, which is right now. So it's going from, usually they start in March and we don't finish until January. And we're still auditing the 23-24 school year. So I will elaborate a little bit on what Dr. Powell said. They audit all of 141, so everything in your general fund is audited. And then the last 2 or 3 years, they've audited all of ESSER. And then this year, they're going to pick our Title I, Title II funds. So they do not audit all the federal funds, but they pick certain funds within federal to audit. And then they audit all of our food service.
Okay. On our school level, at each school, is somebody local do that, or?
Matlock and Associates does the
Matlock
school.
and Clements does our school audit, and they start usually around May, and they're just wrapping up right now. But yes, they audit every school. They go out to the schools and pull samples and review those findings or areas of improvement with the principals. So yes, that happens as well, and that has to get reported to the comptroller's office as well. So that report has to be turned in, or we get in trouble, pretty much.
Do we have already on hand, like, reports of correlation between the two, like our school level versus our,
Say that again.
do we have any kind of reports between our school level reviews or audits that are completed by this Matlock firm, and then what's
so this-
completed by the comptroller? That
This is their first year. So what happened was Householder Artman, they retired and went out of business. And so we had to pick up another firm. And so when I called around, a lot of the districts around us use Matlock, and they had really good reviews. And there were maybe 3 or 4 other options in choosing, but none of them were taking additional work because I think Householder Artman had maybe 30 to 40 counties. And so to pick up that work at another office, it was a huge deal because there's not a whole lot of auditors that can do school books. And so this will be their first year with us. I can't speak for the principals, but I think we've liked Matlock Clements a lot better than Householder Artman. They've been fairly easy to work with, but we do not have that final draft yet, and I look for that to come this week.
Mr. Chair, do you have a budget meeting, or is there a budget meeting scheduled?
No, but there can be. I'm not sure who's on the budget committee, right? I think I'm not on. Are you on it? We can call a budget committee and,
That'd probably be something, let this agenda item die here and show back up there.
on the budget committee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott Hansard, Gary Cordell, and Rita Jones are on the budget committee, so we haven't had a budget committee meeting since I've been here, so
Me either.
Probably time we have one.
I would probably suggest that might be, before we take any action on this, we might want to have the budget committee meeting and pull out the budget.
I agree with that. Unless somebody wants to.
Have Ms. Nelson come in and give us some wisdom and go from there.
Well, there's a lot of wisdom, and I would need an agenda, so I touch everything you want to talk about.
All right.
I will
Thank
add
you.
to this, Chairman Ballard, if the board chooses to find or to go with an independent auditor, the contract that we work with those independent auditors has to also be approved by the comptroller's office before anything can take place.
Yeah. I think
So we just want to let this die and, okay. And
if
anybody have any problem with letting this just die? So no motion?
the majority wishes.
All right. And a budget committee meeting, so let's, all right. Next item on the agenda is paving bids. So, Mr. Shores, I think that's yours.
Okay, we went out for bids on paving, and this, we had actually 2 projects, and I guess we probably should put 2 different ones on here. But one was at Deerfield and the other was at the high school, on the back side of the high school, and that's around the CTE department and the back drive. I actually had marked on here for director's recommendation for Tinsley's, but there's been some things to come to light and some changes, and that is due to the change in the scope of work at the high school, and that is due to the new addition of the CTE building. And due to this, I'm going to ask that, and actually Dr. Powell would need to be the one asking, for the bids to be discarded and rejected, and for us to open up and go back into a bidding for the project at the high school again. We have plenty of time to do this due to the timing that we're in, due to the weather and so forth. Actually, the bids was set so that a paving company could actually come in, and they have until actually the end of June of 2025 to get this paved. But I'm going to request that these bids be rejected for the high school. Now, we'll go back to the Deerfield here in just a moment.
With this being one agenda item, does it need to be one motion to?
What we need, I think, Mr. Gilly, I'll recommend that we reject the high school bid at this time.
What were the reasons, Mr. Shores?
like I said just a second ago, there was a change in the scope of work at the high school with the new addition of the new CTE building. That's changing some things that need to be done, and due to that, we feel like it's a need to rebid the whole project and move forward that direction.
What is the scope, is what I'm asking, is what is the scope? What are we doing?
Okay, we're gonna be paving the whole back, but also what's happened is between the new building and the old building, there's some questionable things with the drainage. So we're gonna be having to look at putting in some drainage and adding a little bit of drainage in that area to take care of any ponding. And that's a concern of ours, and we wanna make sure that we get that included in this. And that's the reason.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm assuming we can do a motion to kind of do it all in one motion to accept the Deerfield bid and reject the high school bid.
Since it is on the agenda as paving, it's not specific to either one of the schools, then you can actually touch on both of them. You are welcome to do one motion in one swoop, take care of it, and I think you'll be fine. Or you can actually hit both of them separately and have a motion on each of them because they're both paving projects.
Right.
For the Coffee County Schools.
Yeah, it's
And
one
if you would like for me to comment on the Deerfield, I'd be glad to, but that's at the will of the board.
Sure, you can, tell us about Deerfield, and then, we'll probably, since it's one item on the agenda, we should probably just do it in one motion, I would assume. It's kind of an awkward motion, but we'll make it work.
Okay, the Deerfield is, as I talked to the Capital Projects Committee, looking at doing a repair to the areas of the paving that needs repair. It's not doing the entire parking lot, it's doing the main first loop going around the front, and in some spots, as soon as you turn in, it's taking care of those areas. It's actually milling down approximately 5 to 6 inches, putting some gravel if needed, and then bridging it with it just lost my mind on what's called, but the binding material. So they would include a binding material. After the binding material is in, then they would go in and pave over the top of it, and it should bridge over the problem area that's there. If we do end up having more problems, and I'll say there's a good chance that we will, the areas that we did fix will be fixed correctly, and then we can address those areas as it comes up. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very pricey job there. And so that's the reason why we went the direction we talked about it at the capital projects, and that's the direction that the committee wanted to go. And that's the reason why we have a price at Tinsley's Asphalt at $50,211. And as you can tell, we had 4 turned in, 2 was not open, and two was over technicalities of what was on the envelope. But any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
How many square feet are we talking about here? Okay.
I couldn't tell you right off what the square footage is. It's certain areas, they're marked off. It's actually in the document, and it will tell you how much it is, it's more off of your tonnage and so forth, exactly how much is gonna be needed. I don't have the square footage marked off. No, I didn't measure square footage.
Tons, yeah.
Ms. Parsley, are you okay with what's going on out there?
Yes,
No, she's the principal out there, bro.
Which parsley?
Yeah, Leah.
All I heard was parsley.
Yeah, Leah, she heard it. Are you okay with what's going on? I mean,
Absolutely. We have a beautiful building, and it would be nice to have the driveway fixed.
the areas that he's talking about, you know what they are, and the areas that he's talking about, you know where they're at, and you're okay with it, and.
Yes, they've tried to repair them over the past, but whenever we have bad weather or the freeze, it just cracks and it comes right back up.
Okay, yeah.
And that's been going
The
on for a while.
previous repairs, I'm pretty sure, they did cut them out, but they did not go as deep as what we're looking at going at, and also did not include the binder material to take care of it.
Yeah, I've left bumper pieces out there before.
I bet that same hole, yeah.
But that's the reason I was asking Leah, because she's a principal out there, and she hears the brunt of this, so we want to make sure that she's happy with what's going on, and you highly approve of it, and the parents are happy, and
All right. So I guess the motion we would need would be to approve the Deerfield parking and driveway repairs project and reject the high school paving, striping, and storm drainage project.
That's correct.
I so move.
I second that.
Who seconded? Mr. Gilly seconded? All right.
Okay, first was Mr. Cordell, second was, because I heard two different ones.
Mr. Gilly.
No.
No,
Oh,
it
it
was
was
Mrs. Yant.
Yant.
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking, Mrs.
I'm
Yant.
Yeah, I was pointing.
Oh, you were pointing, not waving, okay. Sorry. All right, any discussion then? I guess we've mostly had our discussion, but any further discussion? All right, then we will vote. Missy, the motion is to, accept a bid for the Deerfield parking and driveway repair project and reject the Coffee County High School paving, striping, and storm drainage project. So let's go ahead and vote. Ms. Yinch.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
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 And chair votes aye. That passes 8-0. All right. The next item on the agenda is furniture bid. And that is for both, that's for the high school, Raider Academy, and the central office?
In cost.
And cost, okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. So, Mr. Shores,
Okay, same as past years, continuing with the process of changing out furniture, replacing broken furniture, outdated furniture, and trying to get our places up to par where they deserve for our students and our faculty and staffs. And as you can tell here, we have the high school we're working on this year. We're mainly working on at the high school is the CTE business department area. There are some other classrooms that's going to be, we're working on as well that's coming up. We're getting closer and closer to the end at the high school, but there are still things that needs to be taking place. At cost, basically we're talking about an office, and this is the counselor's office, and well, it really needs some work. At Raider Academy, we had a chair that was back during COVID that a student destroyed that is not a warranty issue, and so we're having to take care of it, and that's the reason why it's one chair. And any questions on that here in just a second, be glad to answer. Central office, we're working on, and what we've been doing at the central office is doing 2 or 3 offices each time. We've got a couple of offices that we're changing out furniture, updating theirs. Also, one of the big things in the central office is if you'll notice some of these tables and chairs in this room, they're in pretty bad shape. The tables have been retrofitted with wheels on them. If you've sat at them, you notice that for some reason you feel like a little kid because the tables are a little taller than they should be. And the reason why is because the legs was not cut off when wheels were put on. So it's raised it up. If you look at corners, they've been repaired. They will cut you. There's just damage to the tables, but we are looking at the possibility of still using them throughout in the central office. If you've looked at the chairs are pretty stained. They're in pretty bad shape, and we're regularly carrying some out because they're breaking. So it's updating the furniture in this room as well, and making it much better for our community.
All right, we need a motion to approve the classroom and office furniture bid. A motion to approve the bid.
We're talking about $95,000 here, basically.
No, 130.
$130,000.
$130,000. I'm sorry. That's just at the high school, it's 95.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Let's get a motion on the floor and then we can discuss.
Okay.
So, do we have a motion? Hearing no motion. Then, I guess it fails for lack of motion.
I think one of the things we're probably struggling with is we're about to look at $750,000 possibly for bleachers. And having that, and then looking at 130,000 here.
Do we want to postpone this to December then? There's another option.
I think the next capital projects committee meeting.
Yeah, sure it is.
I think we need a little more information of where the funding's coming from, and, because, I mean, this is the first time I've seen this. If y'all,
I've not ever seen it.
Nope.
and I would just like a little more information of the funding and the need, how great the need is.
Okay, the funding is actually, there's in the budget, under capital outlay, funding for furniture, that is specifically line item for furniture. This is a process that we've been working through. Well, actually, I've been up here, this is my 6th year. This is the 6th year for me to be working on it. And when I was at East Coffee, it was happening 2 years prior to me coming up here. It's a process of updating and, like I said, replacing the old furniture, but this is something that has been ongoing. But it is at the will of the board if you decide to not go that direction. It's just, I mean, the students and the teachers in those groups, they're going to miss out on it, and ultimately it is your choice.
Is there a budget amendment coming later on in the
There
meeting
should
if
be
this
for
was
this.
to? Okay.
The money was,
I know the money was probably put in the budget for that, but that doesn't mean that we have to spend it.
you are correct, yes, ma'am.
Some of this furniture you say is for CTE classes. Could that not be purchased out of some of the CTE funds?
I'm sure it can be. If he's got that kind of funds, I'm sure it
I
can
mean,
be.
I'm just
Yes, ma'am.
asking. I'm not
sure-
saying that we shouldn't do it. I'm just asking for
I
information.
would say yes. And he actually had bought some of the chairs in one of the classrooms, and those were not going to be changed out. This is picking up from there and changing out others. But yes, you are correct. Just because it's in the budget for furniture does not mean it has to be spent on the furniture.
Mr. Chair, this can come back up either through capital projects before the next meeting or on the next meeting. It's up to you. I feel.
We let it die for lack of motion and then,
Well, it already has for tonight.
Yeah.
And I do want to make one other thing. That's fine. Just understand if it does come back up, that there might be a price change, because I have run into that before with things.
We might have to look
and it
for
might not.
somewhere else other than one single place to get it.
You are correct.
To get
Yes,
the numbers
sir.
right.
all right. This one dies for lack of motion, possibly to be reconsidered. All right. Next item on the agenda is the Medco door locks.
Okay, medical locks. This is another project that we've been working through, trying to get through our schools. Each one of our school classrooms, they do have the medical locks. They are lockable into their classrooms. We have been working on the outside doors as well. This is to continue the process. one of the things that we're running into within our schools is that we have old doorknobs. A lot of them are the actual the circular doorknobs. They're not ADA compliant, as well as you're not able to use this type of door lock in them. The cores, and this is the Medico core, which is the small format cores. It's a price of $39,627.70. You see the breakdown for each one of the schools, and this would not complete the process still. There would be more in the future. But as of right now, that's what I'm bringing to you.
And can I ask a question too?
Sure, go.
Are these any of these the electric locks?
No, sir.
These are just regular doorknobs, because I know in the capital projects we talked about the electric ones, right?
The electric ones that we had purchased and agreed on last year have been installed. So each one of the schools, they have two at the very front doors, one coming into the school, the other one is parents getting on into the hallways from the schools. Those are your push button ones. Also at all schools now have a push button code that they can get into the schools. This is also part of our safety committee as well for our fire department and our sheriff's department and Manchester Police Department. Those have been installed, but no, that is not these. These are the hard key, the Medico key setup for each one of the schools.
Mr. Gilly brought up a while ago, do we just take one bid on these, Mr. Shores?
Okay, way this works is they are in a cooperative, the same as the furniture. It's part of a cooperative. Such as the furniture, I can go to another furniture company. The problem you're going to have is you're going to have a mismatched mess in our schools, which we're trying to move away from. We're trying to get a unified look throughout the schools. And once we switch to another furniture vendor, then we're going to start looking at a different look in furniture. But that's okay. That can be done. With the locks, these are a special type lock that is a layered system. They have grandmasters, great grandmasters. They have individual lock keys for teachers. So ultimately, when we get finished, the teacher would have a key to their door and possibly one other door in the building. And then, like Mr. Parsley would be able to use his to get into anything at the high school. Then you look at moving that on up to Shay Turner with head of maintenance or our maintenance department. They have a great grandmaster that can get them into any of the schools that have the Medico lock. So we're not able to move away from a Medico lock if we want to continue that process, because then what you're doing, you're starting to add more keys, and also this key system, you're not able to make the keys outside of the special keys that are there. So if I take it to Farrell's or Walmart to make a key, they don't have the blanks to work on these locks. So it's a system that we need to follow that system. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a pretty big mess with it. And also our SROs have a key to be able to get into any room they need to in the building. It's the setup that we started with years ago. It's a very pricey setup that we're having to go through, but any of these locking systems, they're going to be pricey. They're not going to be cheap. And that's where we are, and that's the reason why I broke it down, and over the years have come to the board to try to take care of small amounts rather than trying to hit it all at one time, and that's where we are.
Basically, they've got us over a barrel.
I wouldn't say they have us over a barrel.
Well, we can't use no other locks. This is the only lock that's going to work in our school system.
Correct.
So they have us over a barrel.
No.
You could probably use other locks, but you'd have to go to another key, and that would be carrying more keys. The custodians or the principals
I think
or maintenance personnel would
Yeah,
have to
I
be
mean,
carrying
maybe over a barrel's a harsh word, but
6 or 8 different keys to get in 6 or 8 different schools.
And the other thing is, Medico can be sold by other companies, and I can bid it out, but this company that I've been using is part of a cooperative, and by being part of the cooperative, they won the bidding over the others through that cooperative, so they have to give me the lower price. And that's the reason why I use the one bidding system or going through the one company, but now I can open it up to 3 different ones, but they also you have to give the vendor rights to be able to do the business with you. Because Medico, it's that secured in being able to give the keys out. So there's a lot more to it than just, but others can actually, I can buy the locks from other places. It's just not gonna be cheaper.
Not necessarily, but Sourcewell is the way, and using Sourcewell or a state bidder, co-op.
Right.
That's how you avoid competitive bidding. If you go through them, you avoid and you're excused from following the law to competitive bidding.
And I think generally this is the way that Coffee County's bid buses for the last several years, going through the co-op, which is kind of what we used to call a state bid, and you could buy off the state bid.
Right.
Actually, I'm sorry,
That's
but
all right.
actually we don't. Not with buses. Buses, we actually do go out with a bid. The other thing that we're saving on is putting it in the paper and pushing out and doing the entire process of the bidding process. And that actually saves some funds as well because it costs to put it in the paper. So there's some different things that you're saving on, but it's the method that we have been using the past few years, yes. And we use this for many items. It's not just this one.
Mr. Chairman. Ms. Shores, you may have already addressed this, but why are the other schools not included in Hillsborough, for example, or whatever?
Because Hillsborough wasn't needing any.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I got in touch with Miss Morton, she said that they were in
Okay.
good shape and didn't need any. And whenever I got in touch with, say, Dr. Clark, he said that there's some that were missed. So we went out there. There might still be some at Hillsborough that Miss Morton didn't realize. And like I said, we're not finished, but we're slowly getting there, pretty close to being done.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve this, and I guess any further discussion can come after that. So motion to approve,
I so move.
Mr. Cordell, second.
I'll second.
Okay. Ms. Hodge, seconds. Okay, further discussion.
So actually, you're replacing these locks. I mean, these locks are already there and they're not working properly, and we're replacing them and bringing them up.
Correct. We're actually changing out. It took me a little while to get it. You have the lock, but you also have the handle. There are 2 different parts to it, and you have to have the handle that actually works with this small format, which is also easily changed out. So we're changing out the old handles that are not going to work or is not ADA compliant, and putting in new handles. So it's not just the medical lock, it's also the handles.
Just roughly 180 to 100 locks, pretty close.
Oh,
I think that's
I'm
best I
sorry,
come up with.
I didn't go through and count.
80 to 100,
that.
roughly $350 a lock.
our maintenance guys are they're doing the work on this, right?
Correct, and that is a major savings for us.
Yes, sir.
Is our maintenance department is able to take these and actually make the changes and adjustments, and we have an amazing maintenance worker that 2 of them is working on the locks anytime there's something comes up, and right now, just the way things are in society, it's a blessing that we have who we have on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that is a major cost savings by us doing it ourselves, so it's.
Major.
So after this round, how many more rounds of small amounts to fix until we're all the
We're
way
getting
done?
close. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
I would
On the
give you an
downhill,
example. We have not touched Deerfield, and the reason why we haven't touched it is it's a fairly new school. The thing is about Deerfield is they have a small format interchase frame that we can put in. So we're not going to have to change the handles, but we might end up changing the cores, which is going to be a whole lot cheaper. But we're really narrowing it down. We still have some. I couldn't tell you how many more we lack.
but
I'm
you're
sorry.
close. The downhill.
We're on the
That's
we're
good.
well on the downhill slide.
Okay.
To say that every classroom has this medical locking system to their room already is pretty big.
Okay. Thank you.
How long do these locks usually last, Mr. Shores?
I'm hoping for a long time.
I mean, is there a guarantee on them or a lifespan on them or written on the box that says
I'm not-
10 years or?
I couldn't tell you that part of it, Mr. Hanson.
Probably on there somewhere. All right, any further discussion? We'll take it to a vote, and I think we're back to Frida.
Aye.
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 Mr. Gilly,
Aye.
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 chair votes aye, passes 8-0. All right.
Mr. Shores, thank you for putting this on the table, and the safety of our students, our kids, and our staff is critically important, so thank you for bringing this up.
All right, next item up is the school bus use for hurricane relief, and I guess there's no documentation here, so I guess,
This is a request that Mr. Shores had, so I'll let him
Okay.
present to the board if you don't mind.
Okay, we actually have Linda Baker here. She's the one that, she gave me a call after the hurricane that took place out in East Tennessee and in the Carolinas. They had a deep want to help and wanted to include our school system in this part. And I'm going to yield the floor to Ms. Baker, and I think she can share a little bit more on what she's got planned. I also want to comment that Ms. Baker's husband, she might not want me to tell everybody this, but he also works for our system, and he also drives a school, or is a mechanic on our buses, and is willing to donate his time to drive the bus.
Thank you.
But what she's asking is for us to allow them to somewhat call it stuff the bus with supplies and to help the people out in East Tennessee. And he would donate his time, but asking for the donation of the bus and the fuel to get there and back, correct?
Correct. So we will be delivering to, hello, my name is Linda Baker, and I'm the Director of Coffee County Probation. And as a partnership
Good talking to the mic.
with the county, our office has had several of the high school students from the Criminal Justice Department to come in and intern with us over the years. So I have had the opportunity and the privilege to work with Mr. Parsley and Ms. Ackland, of allowing those students. So we want to continue that partnership with the school system. So the idea came up that, hey, what can Coffee County School System do and the county government together to promote help for East Tennessee? And the county that I have got in touch with is Cocke County, which is in Newport. And the population of Cocke County is 37,404 people. And if you'll notice on the map, Unicoi, which is the county that was just completely destroyed, is a couple of counties over. And the reason that we chose Cocke County is when we got in touch with a local church there, they sent us to the local fire department. And they will be taking on a lot of these counties that's surrounding them. And what we're wanting to do is, Mr. Parsley at the high school and Miss Sellers at the ninth grade academy, the students there have started collecting toys. And so if you'll notice on the flyer, will it be a truck that we're gonna fill up? Will it be a U-Haul, or will it be a bus? Now, if I don't get a busload of toys, I'm not gonna ask you to donate a bus and fuel. It'll be in the back of my husband's pickup truck. If not, then it'll be a U-Haul. So that's the reason I was coming before the school board, because my husband has so graciously donated his time on that Saturday that he will drive the bus and not charge. So I'm coming before the county school board to ask if you would be willing to donate the bus as well as the diesel. Are there
This is
any-
wonderful. Thank you for doing this and for him donating his time. I'm sure he had a choice.
Yeah.
Are there any questions?
So where do you get diesel for $1 a gallon?
Well,
That is actually what is each individual high school, when they take a trip for sports, it is actually $1 a mile.
Oh, okay. Oh, $1 per mile. Okay, that's.
I should have said a mile instead of a gallon,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay. It was kind of like I was looking at that going, I got to find out where you get your diesel.
Pretty good deal going on there.
But round trip, it's 436 miles there and back.
All right.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Is there a need for more than just toys?
So-
Food,
So
hygiene?
what I have contacted with them, this local fire department, he is responsible for for toys.
Okay.
And then we also put in coats in there. So
Gotcha.
that's what our focus is.
Yeah.
Is because a lot of those parents aren't gonna be able to provide possibly
Okay.
Christmas.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
And if it's approved, any of the school board can hitch a ride.
I would love to.
Oh, I don't think we can be gone together that long.
Sure we
It'll be
can,
team building.
Robert.
Violating some kind of law, no doubt. But
Yeah, I'll ride with you.
any other questions for Ms. Baker? No, it's a worthwhile cause, that's for
Yes, it
sure.
is.
So,
Thank you, Linda.
I would recommend this, Mr. Chairman. I think it would be good for our community, good public relations for our school system, as well as helping our fellow
all
men
right.
up in East Tennessee.
Do we have a motion then to,
That's,
Mr. Coffin? Yeah.
oh,
Could I make a quick comment?
sure, why not?
We actually did this a couple of years ago, but we play Tullahoma on December the 6th. If we could maybe make some type of advertisement, maybe at the high school, we could invite anyone who comes to the game that night to bring a toy.
good idea.
And then that could accumulate maybe quite a bit from not only our community, but Tullahoma's as well.
That's a
Great
great
idea.
idea.
I think that's a great idea, but I think the end date's the 4th, ain't it?
So the collection date would end the 4th, and the only reason that I said that is just being able to get everything away, but yes. I will be.
He can drag up 2 days
Yes.
and carry some more, yeah.
That's a great idea.
So we have a motion to provide the school bus for hurricane relief.
I so move.
I'll
Cordell.
second.
Let's fill the bus.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got it first. Who's the second?
Um,
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Mr. Cordell and Ms. Hodge. And Ms. Hodge.
Aye, absolutely.
Aye.
Double I.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We have no Grinches on the board.
I'm excited. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, I dread this next one.
And now the one we've all been waiting for.
Thank you, Doug, for staying. You're not asleep over, are you?
The bleachers. So this is going to be a good discussion here. So I guess Mr. Shores, and then there's a presentation also. So what, do you want to give some background, Mr. Shores, and then?
Okay, I think I gave the background pretty decent last board meeting. Does anybody need me to go back through all that part of it?
Well, maybe just for the folks watching in YouTube land out there, so.
Okay. All right, here we go. 5 years ago, we had some problems with the motors on the visitor side of the bleachers that moved the bleachers in and out, as well as the end rails of the bleachers were not code compliant because it was very dangerous as far as the 4 inches that you could fit your fist through. So it was dangerous for a child to be able to get their head stuck into. So that was brought to the board 5 or 6 years ago. And at that time, Dr. Lawson and I was looking at, would it be better to put the money into repairing that or to change out the bleachers? And the board at that time decided that they would prefer for us to repair and make those changes. So at that time, we did that. The money that was used to do that is, and this has not been included before, back then it was, is ESSER funds. So ESSER funds were used to make those corrections. The price tag on that was a little over $30,000 to make those corrections. At that time, the bleacher system that we were looking at would have been about $400,000 to change out, $200 on each side. It was voted down, so we went ahead and voted to go ahead and make those corrections. So we replaced 10 motors on that visitor side, redid the wiring, took care of that, and changed out the railings on the side of it, and that was about 96 of them, I believe. So that's what happened back then. Well, gosh, I'm losing my time on it, but I think it was last year it came up again about the mid-step, well, actually putting in handrails, which would require widening the aisles. So to widen the aisles, it was going to take quite a bit of fabrication. So we got a price from Bleachers and Seats to widen the aisles, install the handrails, and to install the mid steps. I don't have that. I wasn't expecting to go through all this again, so I don't have all my numbers with me. But I'm thinking the price, Mr. Bailey, I think was around $176,000, right in that area, and the board chose to go that direction and voted that way. After it was awarded to Bleachers and Seats, they started looking at it even closer and realized they couldn't do it for that, and it was going to be a price increase. And at that time, I asked Mr. Bailey to come out, and he explained that during that board meeting, and the board decided, no, we don't want to spend that money on doing that at that time. It's going to cost too much, or for whatever reason, decided not to go that direction. So it was voted out. Then it came up again a month or so ago and asking about it. And at that time, I went back to Mr. Bailey and checked, and the price for widening the aisles, doing the handrails, doing the mid steps, it increased to a little over $200,000. And I think that bid is actually still is part of your packet. At that time, whenever he was here, he gave us a price that bleachers would cost is, I'm just going to throw a number right around $750,000, but I might be off. I'd have to look to see exact. And that's what came up last month. Well, since then, we found out that these are wood bleachers that we're talking about. And I was asked to get prices for the polymer, the plastic bleachers. And so I went and asked Mr. Bailey for prices for the plastic, and that is included in your packet as well. So you have three bids. One bid is the plastic, one is wood, and wood is for the adding the handrails, widening the aisles, and the mid steps. And that's kind of where we are. We did go and look at myself and Mr. Hansard and Dr. Powell went to Spring Hill. They have the wood bleachers there. We looked at them from what I can tell, and they basically have the same look as what ours does, except for there's not any gum on them. No gum, and they're a lot cleaner, and they're not yellow. But otherwise, they are very much like the bleachers we have. Very durable. From that information, the things I'm hearing is the wood bleachers are more durable. They last longer. I would say that the bleachers that we have now are 50 years old. They were installed in either 75 or 76 when the school was built. They're still holding up well. But we have installed plastic ones at Raider Academy back when it was a middle school. We have had to do quite a few replacement parts on the plastic because they break, and students are pretty rough on the plastic ones. But so far, the wood ones seems like they do hold up better from what I can tell. So I think that's pretty much it. I might have left something out in the middle of it, and if I did, I apologize, but that's kind of the gist of it, and it's back up for looking at it again. There is one part to it, and I can mention this, or Mr. Bailey can actually talk to it about it, and that is on the wooden ones. And Mr. Bailey, if you'll kind of check me out on this as I say this, there is one part, and with the wood ones, that when the engineers drew up the plans, there is one part that can actually be taken off or adjusted, I guess, and changed. And if we did go with the wood and decided to do that, it would actually take off approximately $1,800. So, well, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong number. $18,000. So the wood ones, we can actually make the adjustment, and according to Mr. Bailey, we would not notice the difference whatsoever in the building of the bleachers, and we could get them. So the price that you had minus another $18,000 would be what the price would end up being. Correct, Mr. Bailey? And is there anything you would like to add to this? If you do, just come up to the mic, please.
Dun,
I'm
dun,
basically
dun.
here to answer any questions you have.
Right.
Because I'm sure you're going to have questions. What Kelvin was discussing about the 18,000, what that is there are sections underneath your bleachers, and the engineers basically redesigned it for fewer sections. It's a cost savings. They operate exactly the same. It's just more economical when you have big sections compared to multiple sections. That's where your cost savings is coming from. So.
And can we?
And I do want to say, bleachers and seats. I gave you kind of the idea of the way we went about this. The reason why they're included in it, they are the maker, or the vendor of the maker that is at our high school at this time. So that's the reason why we're talking to Hussey. There are other vendors out there. We have not looked at other vendors. I don't know what the prices are on them or anything, but that's the reason why we have stayed with Hussey on it. We had a good product that is there that has lasted 50 years now. And also the reasons why we have talked to them, but I have not talked to other vendors in the sense to break any kind of prices from them.
And we're part of the Sourcewell contract, so which your quote includes that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the seating capacity the same between the plastic
No.
and the wood?
No, what happens is your bleachers that are older are not ADA compliant. So when we adjust aisles become wider for the handrails and such, you lose some seating. You're still going to be over 3,000 seats. It's 15,000, or 1,500, excuse me, on each side.
Okay.
1,525 or something like that.
So with the new set, is there a difference between the plastic seating capacity and the wood? So they're the same?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the same.
Can you explain again the $18,000, because that's not much money if it's something that we need in the future. I didn't understand what the difference was.
The easiest way would be, your set of bleachers, there are 5 sections underneath the framework. All right, you would have to walk under them to see the sections. So there's a cost of manufacturing each section. We can manufacture longer sections to reduce it down to 4. Doing that is where the cost savings comes from.
Okay.
There's less material in it. It runs more efficiently. So
With the lesser number of sections.
fewer motors, right? So there's a cost savings in doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might add, if I may, Mr. Ballard, on the wooden bleachers, if the board decides to go that way, the bottom row of each section can be pushed in and have space for wheelchairs or accommodations for ADA. And it doesn't have to, it can stay out, or we can push it back a section at a time, wherever we may need to have it.
Okay.
And we do have some individuals now that are in wheelchairs, or that are in other devices that they cannot get around and get up in the bleachers themselves and sit down. And I'm sure there's accommodations. I've seen them in other places where they have a little section warded off, I guess, that you can accommodate
older
for.
bleachers used to have cutouts.
Yes, sir.
Now these are called recoverable, so it's like a drawer that pulls in and out. You only push it in when you need it. Keep it out for regular seating. Yeah.
So right now, we have 3 choices in front of us, 3 bids. So one is for the wood bleachers, correct me if I'm wrong, $722, $951.62. That's before the $18,000 discount. The plastic bleachers are $701,388.12. And we do have the option to do repairs, and which I understand would not get us to ADA compliance.
Correct.
And that is $195,919.72. So,
Which is where we were the last time I was here.
right,
Do you want to put something in that's not going to make it up to par?
right.
Mr. Gilly's got a question.
Can I ask
Yes,
a
sir.
question?
Sure.
Can you explain on record right now, what is the difference in ADA compliance between our current bleachers and doing the upgrades of the half steps, the handrails, and cutting the seats back to widen the aisles?
What do you mean, the difference?
If a lot of people are under the impression we can do nothing to our bleachers to make them ADA compliant.
You're going to have to do something to make them ADA compliant.
Right.
You have to.
Right.
So all the list of things you
I
said,
just need to know that, because I know as part of the pullout on the bottoms, I know a few things about that as well. That
Yeah, and
doesn't
you can
necessarily
accommodate
make them ADA compliant.
other spaces.
Right.
You can, but the
We
aisles-
have so much area that is measurable between our bleachers and the court, plus the areas around the court. That's not an issue really for us.
That's just a piece of the ADA requirement.
Right.
Is the wheelchairs.
Depending on the distance that you have between court and in.
You can set wheelchairs in the side, as long as it's a designated area, you can put it anywhere you want.
Right.
So
that
the other
covers that.
pieces are aisle rails.
Yep.
That's required.
The handrails.
The handrails,
Yeah.
aisle rails. The mid step would be required in that. So in order to do that, you have to widen the aisles to accommodate that.
And that's part of your quote
That's
for
part
upgrades.
of the repair quote.
Yeah, the repair quotes.
The other problem is you have gaps, which code requires a 4-inch spherical object not be able to pass through it.
Yeah, explain that.
You have that problem right now.
Where at?
your end rails will all have that problem?
All of those that
They
we put,
should now.
Oh, we did the end rails.
yeah,
I
they're
had 'em
already
changed. You
completed.
didn't, y'all, bleachers and seats didn't do
Okay,
it.
the end rails have been done.
Yes.
So, other than that, I'd have to go back to the reports to see if there's any other.
Because I know the differences between what I seen in the Spring Hill as far as tread depths, tread heights, risers, we're identical. Other than the aisle widths, the half steps and the
Right.
handrails.
Okay,
Obviously, ours are fully wood, and there's not a third of aluminum on there like the Spring Hills.
correct.
Pretty much, you know,
Which pulls down the weight.
pulls down the weight, lightens up underneath,
Right. Helps your frames long
Right.
term. That's what it does.
which your company, in my opinion, can't complain about what we have up there. They've been there a long
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Very good.
Life is great on those.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because when you walk in under them, you see steel everywhere, and I
correct.
like steel a lot more than aluminum, in my opinion.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If the 195,000 is not making them compliant, how much would it cost to make them? I mean.
I would have to go back and look.
Well-
The biggest problem, you're gonna be compliant to an extent. You've got your handrails, right, your end rails.
End rails.
End rails. Handrails you don't, that'd make you compliant. Changing all that, you would come up to compliant.
The upgrades would come up to compliance.
To current
Yeah.
conditions, you'd come up to compliant.
Do you have a guesstimate? Like, would it be a lot different than these 700,000 somethings
To do,
to make
it's
it
195.
Roughly
It's
one,
a- it's one of the three.
196,000.
It's
to
one of the
be
three.
to be all the way compliant? That's
Yes.
195.
Mhm.
Okay, I thought we would still be out of compliance with that.
No, my apologies if I
Okay, so we'll,
said that.
Oh, so that's making us.
How many seats, once we widen the aisles, how many actual seats, will that come close to the 3,000?
It'll be over 3,000. It's
26 times 3 times 2.
3,000. It's over 3,000.
Okay, so by doing that, we still would have the same number of seats as if we did.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah. You're still gonna have
Pretty much the
one of the
same.
largest sets in the state.
From what I've seen from photos, pretty much the same thing, other than the bottom skirts of the foldable section, aluminum on the new ones versus
It'll
solid
operate
wood on
differently.
ours.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it'll operate much more efficiently and
I
you're
think-
gonna
I
keep
think-
putting money in, like any car, it's gonna be like, how long do you wanna keep
luckily,
going?
we've been very fortunate because we spent the $30,000 and it
Right.
was 15 years before that, I believe it was $17,000. So that's all that's really been spent, other than the handrails on the ends and some occasional fabrications of some
Sure.
pieces broke when they went up wrong.
That, frames are gonna
That's
do that.
really pretty good
It's great. It is a fantastic life.
cost for the lifespan they've already been there.
Yeah. Typically 20 to 30 years, depending on how they've been kept up, is the life cycle of a bleacher.
We're climbing the ladder a lot more than that, and you know, like I say, I feel like we do these upgrades, we're not really changing the total picture of what's there much more than the new ones anyways, and
We got a question down here.
I
getting
guess
into-
I'm
we need to get on
confused
into
because
motion
we would
before I
already
go any
voted
further.
for this if we thought we were compliant. Because I was under the
Well-
impression that this was not gonna make us ADA compliant.
It
If
will
it
make
is-
you, it'll make you ADA compliant. The question is, how much do you want to put into something when its lifespan is almost near the end? That's the question. Because you can keep putting money into it. It's like a car. You can keep putting money into it, but at what point do you stop putting money and get a new? That's where you're at.
I'm getting older, but I hope nobody gives up on me.
Well, the motors, they're fairly new, aren't they, under the bleachers?
Yeah.
The one side
On
was
one
changed.
side.
The one side was
Just on
changed
one side.
about 4 or 5 years
I knew
ago.
that.
The other side was changed.
I think it was about 15, maybe.
Mr. Pedigo had told me that he had them changed and they were like 35,000 at that time. But it was probably 10, 15 years ago.
How
But don't
does
hold me to
the,
that. I'm kind of guesstimating.
How does the maintenance work on these? Like, is that something that we take care of or that
We-
you
we
guys
come-
take care of?
So you can do it, different schools do it different ways. They're inspected every year. That's by code. They're supposed to be inspected. From that, you can determine what needs to be done to them. Think of bleachers just like your car. You just take it in and as things go on, you maintain them. There's things you can do to increase that time. You know, keep everything greased, keep everything in line, do some of those things, and it'll help out.
Is that like an annual thing or?
You should. Your maintenance department basically takes care of them.
Okay.
Or they'll call us or whoever
Yeah.
they're using to service it.
Okay.
That's typically how it's done.
Who inspects the bleachers every year?
That's up to your school system on how you want to do it.
Oh, but it's.
That's a code requirement that it be done
And
once
when
a
was
year.
our last inspection? What did it show?
This year, and actually our maintenance department does the inspection. And they came back with a clear, they didn't see anything that needed to be changed.
How long does it take to do the upgrade versus either the plastic or the wood brand new?
So installing new bleachers takes, your bleachers they're large. I'll say 10 days to remove the old, bring in the new. The service work will take a bit longer because you guys have kind of a unique situation. Your frames were kind of a crossover. You have almost a one-of-a-kind bleacher in your system. That's why the factory came back and changed the cost of putting in rails. Once they saw the understructure and pulled the plans, they realized this isn't exactly normal.
I remember you saying that before.
So that's what created that dynamic. So repairs will probably take them a couple weeks, it'd be my guess.
Okay, so not much different, really.
You mean you can do all this in a couple of weeks?
We can.
Oh, and installing new ones, taking out the
We can.
bleachers in
We'll have
a
a crew
month?
come in, it depends how many projects we have going on. We could bring in a crew of 14 that'll knock it out.
I need to hire
Prime
that,
example
I need to
is
hire
we
that
just
crew.
did National Christian School, and it took them 4 days.
What will, okay, suppose we went with new bleachers, what would happen to those old ones? Because I've had a lot of community members, you know, that's really nostalgic, those
So you
those
have your
bleachers-
choice.
Those bleachers, those wooden planks.
I'm not even.
Yeah, I mean, we have schools that have kept their planks for wood shop and different things. If that were to happen, we have to know in advance, because normally they'll just come in and cut it up and trash it. If something were to want to be saved in all that process, and when I say trash it, it goes to recycle. But if you wanted to save some of the wood or something, we have to know up front. It does add time, it does add a few things. And all they'll do is stack it off to the side, and then it's up to you guys to decide what you want to do with it.
What is any of the concerns y'all have if the board decides to go with a full replacement of damages to the floor?
We're used to going on brand new floors. We protect everything. Yeah, we're used to going new construction when, I mean, it's a
These are
spotless floor.
huge.
So we're used to that, yeah.
What conditions are our new tracks and stuff in, Doug? Do you know, are they,
They're not on tracks, they're on wheels. Is that what you're talking about?
you know, wheels, are they're framing and the structure underneath them now? Are they still in?
It's a drive wheel system, it's not on a track.
Correct.
Yeah.
The last time, well, like I said, the last time we had our maintenance go underneath and check it, they felt good about it. The last time we brought in a company from outside to check it, as far as the underneath, they felt fine with it at that time as well, so.
I mean, best estimate on that, much longer are they gonna last, you think? There's no way to know, I don't guess, is there?
Just like your
Depends
car,
how
I
many
can't tell you
times-
how long your car is gonna last either. Yeah.
If we're here, I'll bet you another 50.
Are there any kind of warranties on the repair upgrade to
The
ADA?
repair, the first year, you're gonna get covered by it. I mean, it's a normal repair warranty. It's-
What about the new bleachers?
Depends on what part you're
I mean,
talking
the
about. It
motors.
goes up to 15 years.
The motors and the,
Motors, as long as everything's kept up, and we give you 3 years of free inspections. So when we install something, we do it for 3 years, free inspection on a new bleacher. As far as anything going on, if a motor's gonna go out, it usually goes out in the first month or two. After that, it'll go until it doesn't, 5, 10 years, whatever that is.
Any more questions? All right. Any final comment? Just one last time. So the 195,000, the repair gets us to ADA compliance. That
Yes,
will
and
put us in
bleachers.
compliance with ADA, so.
Yes.
Okay.
Other than seating, yes.
Doug, are the new bleachers in Spring Hill, is the aisles not wider than ours?
Yes, they are, because they have to accommodate the handrail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing. We can't change that.
You're gonna
That's
have to-
part of it.
Yeah, that's part of the.
That's part of the repair.
The repairs, we have to widen them,
Yeah, they're widening them, cutting ours.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There's no further questions. Then,
Mr.
I
Chair,
have
I
one more
move that,
question. The board, some of the boards, I think on those seats are cracked. Would those be replaced?
Sure. Well, not part of the repair I don't think it's part of the repair.
It's not part
we're
of the
doing,
repair that's
But it
quoted.
can be repaired. Yeah.
it would just add on to the cost.
It's just, that wasn't part of that.
Other questions? All right.
Ms. Melson, can we afford this? Where does the money come from?
So, in your packet, sorry, there's 3 budget amendments.
Okay.
It's the next item on the agenda, so it would have to come from.
Those are confusing to me. I'd rather have you explain it if you don't mind, or we can wait till we get there.
All 3 options would have to come from fund balance. We just don't have that in our current budget at the moment to do. So, based on what you guys picked to do, if anything, you would have 3 amendments to pick from, whichever one that passed through or did not, and then they all fail. So anything that you pick will have to come from fund balance.
Okay.
So, Dr. Powell, you've gone and seen the new bleachers and looked at all this, so do you have a recommendation?
My personal recommendation would be to buy wood bleachers, but that's the will of the board. I know it's quite a bit of money, but we've looked at them and those have served their purpose. They've been there a long, long time. These others, the wood ones, whether they'd last as long as these, I have no idea, but they'd probably last longer than I will, so, that's a concern. But, we have had, more than one concern about the bleachers, and especially older people trying to get up the bleachers and make the big steps and so forth. But, that if the repair work does that, so be it. But I guess my concern is if you cut part of if you go up an aisle, you're gonna have to cut off both sides of the aisle, is that correct?
Yes.
And then that would mean you're gonna have to put some new boards in because those boards have been tapered and so forth, I think. And I'm not sure.
just route them.
Does the aisle go on out all the way through there? Or are you gonna have to put something in the floor to where you cut the board?
There'll be metal supports underneath it, because putting in the handrails, you have to have more support. More
Right.
design for it.
But I guess my question is, if you cut off the board, then is there enough under that to
Yes.
make a step?
Yes.
Or to keep the step like it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question for Ms. Melson. You said that it has to come out of fund balance. Could not part of that come out of capital outlay? For instance, there was $95,000 set aside for furniture.
So
I mean, there's ways of pulling money from different pots, is what I'm saying.
There are, but at this point in the budget, I mean, we could pull some from furniture. We could do that. But then at this point in the budget, I'm still too early to start pulling around money. We might, I don't think we'll come up with 700,000
Oh,
by the end of
I'm
the
sure
school
we
year.
wouldn't come up with 700,000, but.
I usually don't start looking to pull money anywhere until closer to the end of the school year when I can estimate salaries and benefits and all of that. Sure, there's some money in furniture, but I haven't really looked to see where else we could have pulled it from yet because we're so early in the budget.
And I think we've already got things designated for capital outlay anyway, I think.
Lights or, you're on there.
Right.
Yeah.
All that's part of the capital outlay, the lights and.
This can be put in
There,
it.
can I speak one more time? There is a budget amendment later for the paving that you guys, that failed, part of that failed. That could cover part of it, but it won't cover the whole thing. We'll still need to dip into fund balance.
And what is the fund balance as of today?
Unassigned.
Uh-huh.
Hang on just a
million
second.
something.
I think it's on your budget amendment, but let me get to that. So, unassigned. Right now, we have one budget amendment that we've entered for unassigned fund balance earlier in the school year for after-school program. Right now, we're at 12.6 million.
And this is 700,000.
Yes, ma'am.
It's still.
Can I ask Mr. Bailey a question? The 722,951 for the wood bleachers, does 18,000 come off of that?
Yes.
So that would make it roughly 704,000.
It's basically the same price as the plastic.
Yes, yes.
All right. More questions?
Robert, you said that the brand new bleachers look pretty much like ours would look with these upgrades in Spring Hill?
Yeah, if we do these upgrades, same thing, other than new and shinier and aluminum skirts on the bottom of each row, I believe. And light is, honestly, I look at kind of underneath the ones at Spring Hill or what I've seen on the pictures, there's a whole lot less material.
The design different, the
Right.
design has changed.
Right. I mean, obviously with aluminum in more places, things of that nature, they are lighter.
Yeah, there's
than-
no doubt
'cause,
about
yeah,
the
ours are
the
solid
structure under
wood.
there is not what it was in the
Right.
bleachers we have now.
All right.
Motion?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go to a motion then, so we have three choices. We have we can do the full replacement with the wood bleachers, which would be the 722,951.62 less 18,000 approximately. I guess we'll have to come up with a new number on that, so,
You should have it.
do we have it?
Or,
Okay. The plastic bleachers are 701,388.12, or the repairs is 195,919.72. So we would need to have a motion to accept one of those.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the bid and proceed with the process of upgrading our current bleachers for $195,000 and
I will second that.
919.72.
Okay, so we have Mr. Gilly and Ms. Hodge. Any discussion?
I want to be assured that this is ADA compliant because, I mean, I was of the understanding all along that this repair would not do that. And that was the reason that I was not for it earlier.
My understanding is it will, as far as everything I know. It should.
And this takes how long?
It'll take a few weeks to do it.
When are you, when do you think, if this should pass, when would that be done?
That would be scheduling we would have to arrange with the schools. Parts alone, they're gonna be custom parts because that is a custom job. So you're probably looking 2 months to get parts.
Yeah,
Ms.
I
Jones,
think- I
our
think
goal
so.
was during the summer.
Yeah.
And so far, the different times I've talked to Mr. Parsley, that's gonna be the best time for us to get the gym as well to be able to do the work.
Do it anytime.
So because of the use, I mean, right now we're in basketball. You're not going to tear up bleachers in the gym
Right,
during
right.
that time. So I would be still assuming, as we have talked before, that it would be during the summertime. Is that right, Mr. Parsley, or would you?
That's correct. I mean, there are optimal times during the summer with things going on, but definitely summer is best.
That's what I was thinking.
Mr. Parsley, do you have opinion on this?
If you need to come up to the
You're
mic.
over you're the principal there. What do you feel? Put you on the spot.
He can come up and talk to us.
So, a couple or 3 months ago, I stated that I don't believe this is an easy decision. There's a lot of money involved in it. Lots of different factors that influence our thought process on it. There have been a few repairs over the years, and when money is spent on these bleachers, it makes you think, particularly when lots of money is spent, it makes you think, well, maybe we just need new ones. But it's also been stated that, we've had these bleachers for nearly 50 years, and in the grand scheme of things, there has not been all that much spent on them, comparatively. I would be happy myself with either new wooden bleachers or repairing the bleachers that we have. I would not be displeased with plastic bleachers. I'd just prefer one of the two options that I mentioned first. It really depends on, how much money you all feel like we need to spend on this. And, we just don't know how long these bleachers are going to last if they're repaired. Hopefully a long time. I wish I had a better answer. Shiny looks good. Everybody likes new and shiny. But our bleachers we have held up really well. So, thank you.
Once again, great product.
All right, further discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to accept the bid of $195,919.72 for the repair of the existing bleachers. So, Ms. Hodge?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Mr. Cordell's not here. Ms. Inch?
This is a tough one. No.
Mr. Hansard?
No.
Ms. Jones?
No.
Mr. Cordell, you're back just in time to vote on the repair. So.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Cordell is aye. Boy, that makes it me, right? So I will vote aye. That is a tie, so the motion fails then because we have a tie.
Dang it, Chris.
So, do we have another motion? Yeah, probably.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for the new set of wooden bleachers.
I'll second it.
Okay, so
Which ones? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part.
The wooden,
722,000 minus the 18,000.
correct. Yes.
Okay, and then, all right. So the motion on the floor is to accept the bid for the new wooden bleachers at $722,951.62, less the 18,000 adjustment. Any discussion on that?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Ms. Jones?
Ms. Jones, thanks.
Yeah. Ms. Matthews and Ms. Jones.
I will have to say it makes me feel bad because I love those bleachers over there, but I'm just afraid that we'll get into something that we're gonna be spending more and more money as the years go by. I'm not, if you can tell us we won't.
All right. Further discussion?
Well, it's kind of like your car. After a while, enough things happen, and you decide, okay, at this point, I need a new car. So I think we just keep kicking it down the road. We're going to be spending, and then we're going to be spending, and I'd rather just see us take the money and get a good product that we know may go another 50 years. So that's my feeling.
Well, but we're talking about wood, bolts, and steel.
Mhm.
We're not talking about engine parts and fires and explosions, and we're talking about wood, bolts, and steel that are all very easily maintainable. They don't just crumble one day.
Are the space between the seats the same as the old ones? Okay.
The same.
Is the timeline faster on the new compared to what just failed? Like
Yes.
bringing new in is faster?
Yes. Either which way, they still stay in summer, right?
I would like to say though that our summertime is precious for our programs. So if it does save time, not a bad thing.
Well, you always have dead period that you're shut down anyways.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you said, though. 2 weeks versus 10 days.
Roundabouts.
So only 4 days different, really.
All right. Further discussion? All right. We will vote on the replacement with wood bleachers, and I think, did you go?
She went first last time.
Okay, then you're up.
Aye.
No.
Mr. Cordell?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
I have to vote no, then it's tied again, so,
So, Mr. Ballard, you voted no? Is that what you
yes,
said?
I voted no. Yeah.
Take it up at work.
Eventually, we're going to buy something from you. I don't know what, but you have wasted a lot of time with us, and I appreciate it. 2 very long meetings, right?
This definitely needs to be an agenda item at the next work session as fast as we can. We do not need the explanation of all the votes over the years. We've had that. I know you're getting tired of saying it. I'm getting tired of hearing it. We need to discuss and figure out something and
we
get
gotta do
something
something, so.
done.
Well, we will put it on the agenda for the work session next week then, so it fails.
Everybody good with that?
And it fails. And so I guess
I got a twitch now in one eye.
the budget amendments, since we don't need the budget, so item 11 is off the agenda, so. Item number 12 is the CTT EPP program, and I think we've.
Yes, sir.
decided
I would
kick
like
that-
to ask that that be postponed till the December board meeting and put on the work session, please.
Well, that's fair enough.
I think that works. Yeah, we
I'll
can
make
either-
that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Gilly. Mr. Cordell. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Gilly,
Aye.
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 and chair votes aye. That is 8-0. All right, budget amendment 141-2025-5. Ms. Melson.
So this was originally for the paving and the locks that we discussed earlier in the meeting. Since the high school paving failed, we we can adjust this budget amendment to just cover the locks and the Deerfield paving. Or we can pass this through and it stays in the capital budget to use on other projects that come up.
Or the CHS, if we get it worked out
Yes.
with the
I
drainage
just
and
wanted to be
stuff.
clear about what this contains.
And the only reason that fails because there was some more to be added to it. It's not that that
Right, it just
that we
changes scope.
didn't prove it.
Yeah, it's going to be
I just wanted to
rebid
be
the way I
clear
took
what
it.
this budget
Right.
amendment was for. So you guys weren't questioning the amount because of the paving failing and all of that. So this does affect, so what this budget amendment does is it takes the remaining part of what we have left in capital outside of the lots. So the lots and the track improvements are still in our capital restricted fund. This would take what's left of that capital fund, restricted funds to use in the budget. So this would affect fund balance, but not unassigned. It affects our restricted fund balance for capital. Does that make sense?
If we just left this one the way it was, and 2 months from now or a month or whatever, if we get better numbers back or different numbers, then we only have to just do another amendment to stack a little money with that.
That's correct.
To cover it.
That's correct. So we could change this amendment, and then we'd have to come back if we wanted to do paving at the high school and do another amendment, or we leave this. If it doesn't get spent and it rolls back into the capital restricted fund balance, then we can use it in the next school
Another
year
capital
for
form later.
for another project.
We're gonna have to do another amendment anyway, so we could approve this as
Probably leave
is
it
and
there.
then
We just know we stashed it, and maybe. I'd like to make that motion.
what?
If we could accept this the way it is and just leave that sitting there. And
All right. The motion is, okay, so you're motioning to accept this the way it is. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Hansert? So the motion is to accept Budget Amendment 141-2025-5 as is, and then with the understanding, of course, that we will have to add to that, but that will include the money for the high school, and we'll get another budget amendment for that. So the motion is to accept 141-2025-5.
yes.
Any discussion?
Maybe not have to add money to it if oil goes down by the time we do it.
That's true. Discussion? Okay, Mr. Cordell?
Aye.
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 Aye, and the chair votes aye. That passes 8-0. All right, budget amendment, or the budget update.
So this is the budget update through September. For revenues, we've received, year to date, we've received 8 million, which is 15.82% of budget compared to last year of 16.52%. The majority of the revenue for September was from the state, which is our Tissa, monthly Tissa payment of 3.3 million. The remaining is local revenue, about 634,000, and then we had some other revenue of 16,000 from like schools and for extra labor and things like that. Getting down into the expenditures, we've used 18.8% of budget compared to last year of 20.54% of budget. I will call your attention to line 72290. The after-school program is now showing in this monthly budget update. It does not have a budget yet because the budget amendment did not pass through the county commission until October. So you will see it on your next budget update. It will have a budget, and you'll be able to see the percentage used at that point. Other than that, budget's on track. I will take additional questions if you guys have them.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept this budget amendment 141-2025-5, and then we'll have questions?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Cordell made the motion and Ms. Hodge seconded. Are there any questions? Okay, we'll take a vote on this amendment. I guess it starts with Ms. Yentz. Okay, Ms. Yentz.
Aye.
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 Aye. So it's 7-0. Chairman's not here. Okay. Okay, the next one is item number 14, budget update.
No, that's what she just did.
Oh, okay.
That's what we just did.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay, next one are items for discussion. I guess that goes toward the board. Start with Mr. Gilly. Do you have a?
Down there.
What? What'd you say?
Nothing, just,
okay.
I enjoyed everything this weekend with all the board members. That was a really good, probably the best convention I've been to. So, all that was went really well. And Mr. Powell. And, that's about it right now. I've been here long enough that I'm probably not thinking straight, so I'll pass to the next person.
It was a good convention. We had a lot of good information. We had a strong team effort, and I'm so glad to see our team there and the interaction. And I'm so proud to be working with y'all. And it was a great convention. It was long, but it was interesting.
Well, I didn't get to do the convention this year. I had a niece wedding. But I did get to go out to 3 of our veterans programs at the different schools, and they were excellent. I loved the middle school. They were all good, but the middle school, when they got them all riled up, I have not heard that kind of noise since I can remember. And so it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate the programs, and I really appreciate that you're teaching our kids to honor our veterans.
Yes.
I think that's so important. So thank you.
Critically important. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did second what Mr. Gilly and Mr. Cordell said, and as well as, Ms. Jones and the rest of our school board members, Ms. Matthews and Ms. Peacock. We had a really good time down there, and it was nice to have our school board united to do something, and it meant a lot, and I think it means a lot to our county to see our board united, at things like this, and tonight is a good example of that as well. But I'm very proud to be associated with this board.
Okay, I ditto what y'all said, and also too, I think it was neat that we were recognized as a board of distinction. We got to stand up, Coffee County did, and also Dr. Powell was recognized.
Absolutely.
Dr. Powell, will you tell us what your award was that he went up on stage?
I think it was from a different board.
It was.
My time. Each year, Tennessee School Board Association has up to 7 school board members throughout the state that they call the All Tennessee School Board. And it was an honor this year that I was selected to be one. Certainly appreciate it. I appreciated you folks being there. I didn't spend that much time with you, but the other school system was paying for my money down there, so I had to stay with them most of the time.
But dance with the one that brought you,
seriously,
didn't you?
I did enjoy being with y'all, though, and I thank you. I don't know what you've had in the past, but for the most part, the best I can recall, this is one of the largest groups that's been down there to a TSBA meeting that I've attended. The lady at the desk, when I checked in, said, "Have you been here before?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, about 30 years." And I've been in there probably about 30 years, going to school board meetings and others, but it was a very enjoyable meeting and a lot of information, a lot of walking, but it's good for you. But I do appreciate what you folks have done and that y'all were there and showed support for our school system.
If y'all have not been to an elementary basketball game, you need to go. It is a lot of fun, and those kids light up when they get cheered for. So everyone try to make it to some of those. They're on Saturdays usually. And I had a good time on Thursday and Friday at the convention. I went to the leadership part of it, and It's been a rough month on the social medias, but I am proud to be a part of this board, and I think that we work really well together, and the atmosphere in this room just feels really good. So glad to be here, and happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
I agree with what you said, Jennifer, and everyone else. I had a great time at the convention. It was my first one, so there's a huge learning curve with all of this, and that helped push me along the way just a little bit, but I'm very grateful for that experience over the weekend. Also, I was able to attend a few of the veterans programs today within our system, and I was just so impressed. I've been going to the one at the middle school for the last couple of years, but I branched out a little bit and went to a couple more. And like Mr. Parsley said, the behavior of the students was just exceptional. They were so respectful, and it was great to see all the veterans come out. And I'm just so excited to be a part of this and what we have to look forward to. So thank you all.
And I was at the TSBA convention also, and I got to go to the board chairman roundtable, and I got an opportunity to get up and brag on our board. So, so I want to tell them what superstars we had here, and and how everybody gets along, and it's pretty awesome. So. We do have a work session coming up on November 21st, and we will get that. We're finalizing the agenda. We'll get that posted because that is next Thursday. And we got some items to discuss there. Mainly, well, we added a few more in this meeting too. But one of the big ones is going to be the after-school program. So looking at the end of this year and going into next year too. So we will be discussing our options there, and then probably do some voting in the December board meeting, and that's about what I have. So, did we have any committee meetings?
We have calendar committee tomorrow
Okay,
at 3 o'clock here.
all right, but no meetings, no committee meetings since last, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Nothing I can think of, no.
yeah, and we probably need to get a budget committee meeting scheduled too, so. Student ambassador report. Riley, do you want to tell us what's going on now that we made you sit through this whole meeting? I hope you got your dose of government for tonight.
Yeah, she may want us to move them up as principals next time.
Maybe, but she doesn't get the full experience otherwise.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for letting me be here and experience this. First, we have a winter choir concert on December 5th at 6 p.m. And then we have a winter band concert on December 10th at 6:30. We have an upcoming Think Fast, Safe Driving program for seniors at the high school. Our football team, they finished their season at the playoffs last Friday in Mount Juliet. They had a good season. And for cross country, Thompson Lowe competed in the TSSAA State Cross Country Championship in Hendersonville last Friday. He didn't place, but he got his second best personal record. For basketball, our girls and boys began this weekend, and they both had a play day this weekend. They have their first home game of the season next Tuesday, November 19th against Siegel. Wrestling started on November 9th, and swim starts on November 15th. Our mock trial club is in Chicago right now at a competition, and our DECA club competed at the district competition last week, and we had several people qualify for the state competition. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad to see you.
Okay, we wrap up with the director's report. So, Dr. Powell?
No update on the ESSER. Everything's on task. There's still 2 unpaid bills, I think, as I understand it, but everything else is taken care of. That program will be monitored, I understand, for several years to come. So
Like I think about 30,
we have to keep up with that a lot. I do have one other thing that's right now for information purposes. We have had at the high school, we have 2 what you would commonly call boilers or water heaters. One of those is out, the other one is on its last leg. And we're gonna have to declare an emergency purchase for that. For one of them, and that can be done through the board policies. And I would consider it a major disruption of the education activities. If that heater went out, or that boiler went out, we wouldn't have to be able to have school probably, because we wouldn't have any hot water for food service or anything as far as that's concerned. It's actually called a hot water supplement replacement, and that cost is going to be $116,848.60. Of course, that would have to be in the next budget amendment as we have it, but that's just and I think they could put it in around Christmas time. Is that right, Mr.?
That is the plan.
Okay, and hopefully it'll last that long. Shay and his group have been working at it almost daily, making sure that it's functioning like it's supposed to. We looked at the possibility of what is known as tankless hot water heaters, but I think that could be a major problem in distribution and so forth. So we'd rather go back with what we have now and replace those. Mr. Shores, you have any other information on that?
I think that's pretty well it. The two that we have there is, think of it as a hot water heater in your house, but 2,000 gallon tank maybe, monster. One of them, like he says, completely gone out. The other one is actually locked up on us last week, and our maintenance crew was able to get it freed up so it would start back. And we are babying it any way we can. Actually turning it off at nights and starting it back up in the mornings. So it's a very vital situation, and it's got to be fixed. So that's where we are.
What are we talking about cost-wise?
$116,848. $116,848. That's just for one.
No, that's actually.
Is that both of them?
That's both. That's changing out both heaters, so that it should be taken care of. The problem we're going to run into is we don't know how the tank could go out on us, and we don't know that there's a problem with it. But it's one of those things we have to go with.
And that will have to come out of fund balance at some point in time.
Well,
Is there not any money in maintenance? We don't have money set aside for something like that in the maintenance budget?
Okay, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. I said, do we not have anything budgeted in maintenance for repairs that, not in that amount?
So if you go back and look at, we did a budget amendment in the last meeting, I don't have it with me. So every year we're allowed to roll over maintenance money that's not spent. It's in a restricted fund.
Right.
We bring that into the budget for reasons like this to be able to use. I believe we're going to be able to use that. Just, it's already going to be in the budget, so we may have to do a budget transfer, which Dr. Powell can sign from line to line. But right now, I don't think we're going to need a budget amendment, possibly not need a budget amendment. Okay. We may be able to cover it in that restricted line, that money that we've already brought in.
Okay, good.
all right. Do we have a motion to dismiss?
So move.
Billy and Cordell all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.